I was on my knees because the gravity field said so. Not because I chose it. Not because I bent. The floor of the court was black glass veined with light, warm enough to sting through my flight suit. Bands of force pinned my shoulders and wrists, humming softly, like they were bored with me already. Every time I shifted my weight, the field tightened just enough to remind me who owned the room. My ship was gone. I'd watched it burn through the high windows. My ship, breaking apart in orbit like it had been designed to fail. No alarms now, no engines, no exit. The court was full, not loud, not chaotic, just full. Tiered balconies rose in a slow arc around the chamber, crowded with nobles wrapped in metallic silks, officers in lacquered armor, diplomats who pretended they weren't counting the seconds until I died. No one spoke above a whisper. The air itself felt trained. Then she stood. Empress Kalira didn't announce herself. She didn't need to. The room reacted before she moved. Backs straightening, heads lowering, breaths caught mid-inhale. Even the guards nearest the dais shifted their stance like they were afraid of being noticed. She was taller than the rest of them. Not by much, enough. Her skin caught the light like polished stone, pale and unblemished, as if violence had learned not to touch her directly. The crown she wore wasn't decorative. It looked grown, not forged, curling back from her temples like something alive that had decided to stay. She looked down at me. Not with anger, not with interest, with evaluation. This, she said, and her voice didn't echo. It ended things, is a human. A ripple moved through the court. Not laughter, worse, amusement without joy. Kalira descended one step from the dais. The sound of it, just a single footfall, was enough to make the nearest noble flinch. Your species drifts between systems, she continued, scraping existence from wreckage and stolen air. You call it resilience. She tilted her head slightly. We call it infestation. The force field pressed harder. My knees burned. She stopped a few meters in front of me. You entered Imperial space without sanction. You ignored hails. You attempted escape. Her gaze flicked upward, toward the windows. You failed. I swallowed. The field allowed that much. You are not a soldier, she said. Not a leader. Not valuable. She leaned down just enough that I could see my reflection in her eyes. Small, distorted, already gone. You are what happens when a lesser species confuses motion with purpose. A noble somewhere laughed too quickly and cut it off halfway through. Kalira straightened. Let the record show, she said calmly, that humanity is tolerated only because extermination would be inefficient. Her eyes returned to me. Speak, she added, if you wish your final sounds to be remembered as anything other than noise. The court waited. So did the field. So did she. And I realized, kneeling there with my ship's ashes still warm in orbit, that this wasn't a trial. It was a demonstration. I was on my knees because the gravity field decided I should be. The floor of the alien court was black glass, warm enough to burn through fabric. Invisible bands pinned my shoulders and wrists, tightening every time I shifted, not to hurt, just to remind me I couldn't leave. My ship was gone. I'd seen it break apart through the high windows minutes earlier, scattering fire into orbit. No alarms now, no escape routes, just silence. The court was full but quiet. Nobles, officers, officials, tiered balconies packed with bodies that refused to move. Fear had trained them well. Then she stood. Empress Kalira didn't announce herself. The room reacted first, heads lowered, guards stiffened. Even breathing seemed to pause. She was taller than most, pale as carved stone, her crown grown rather than built, curling back from her skull like something alive. When she looked at me, it wasn't anger or hatred. It was assessment. This, she said, her voice flat and final, is a human. A ripple moved through the court. Not laughter, something colder. You drift between systems, she continued, stepping closer. Scavenging survival, you call it resilience. Her eyes never left me. We call it infestation. The gravity pressed harder. My knees burned. You trespassed. You fled. You failed. She glanced toward the windows. Your vessel is evidence. She leaned just enough that I could see myself reflected in her eyes. Small, already irrelevant. Humanity survives, she said calmly, only because erasing it would be inefficient. She straightened. Speak, Kalira added. If you wish your final sounds to matter. The court waited. So did she. And I understood then, this wasn't a trial. It was a lesson. No one moved. That was the first thing I noticed once Kalira finished speaking. Not the guards, not the nobles, not even the air around her, which felt heavier the closer she stood. The court didn't react because it already knew the correct shape to hold. I understand. The court waited. Kaylira held his gaze for 3 seconds. Then she turned away. Remove him from my sight. The order was quiet, almost casual. 2 other guards stepped forward immediately, hands already on Joran's arms. He didn't resist, didn't plead. He didn't even look at them. His eyes stayed locked forward as he was dragged toward a side passage. I expected shouting, begging, something human. There was nothing. The passage sealed behind him with a soft sound, like a door closing in a private room. No one reacted, not relief, not sympathy, not fear made visible, just acceptance. Kaylira returned her attention to me as if nothing had happened. You see, she said. Order. I forced my jaw to unclench. Is that what you call it? A murmur rippled through the court. It died instantly. Kaylira didn't turn her head. She didn't need to. The sound ceased on its own. You speak freely for someone restrained, she said. I'm already on my knees, I replied. Feels inefficient to pretend I'm not allowed to talk. That earned me something new. Not interest, consideration. She stepped closer again. I could feel the heat of her presence now, like standing too close to a reactor shield. You mistake tolerance for weakness, she said. This court exists because I allow it to exist. One of the nobles near the front row shifted, then froze, realizing Kaylira's eyes had flicked in his direction. He bowed so low I thought he might collapse. I do not rule through spectacle, she continued. I rule through certainty. No one here wonders what will happen if they displease me. She gestured, vaguely, toward the sealed passage. They already know. I tested the gravity field again. Futile. It tightened instantly, pressing my shoulders down harder. Does that include them? I asked, nodding toward the balconies. Or just the ones close enough to hear you breathe? That did it. For the first time, the court reacted before Kaylira did. Sharp inhales. Someone whispered a warning under their breath. A noble actually stepped back, as if distance might save them from association. Kaylira looked down at me slowly. You are not afraid, she said. I am, I answered. Just not in the way you're used to. Silence again, deeper this time. She crouched slightly, bringing herself closer to my level. The gravity field adjusted, forcing my spine straighter whether I wanted it or not. Explain, she said. I've seen tyrants, I said. They need noise, executions, threats. You don't. Her eyes narrowed a fraction. That makes you worse, I added. But it also makes you predictable. If I was going to die, I was at least going to be honest. The court held its breath. Kaylira studied me for a long moment. Then she straightened. Interesting, she said. Not to me, but to the room. She turned her back on me, walking toward the dais again. Take him to the lower holding level, she ordered. Do not damage him. The guards moved immediately. As the gravity field released and my arms were yanked behind me, I caught one last glimpse of the court. Every eye was on me now. Not with pity, with relief, because for a moment, her attention wasn't on them. They didn't take me to a cell. That was the first mistake. Instead, they marched me through a service corridor that smelled like coolant and old metal, past doors without markings, past intersections where guards stood perfectly still until Kaylira's insignia passed them by. No one spoke. No one asked questions. The kind of place built for things that weren't meant to be seen. The gravity cuffs were lighter here. Still firm. Still humiliating, but adjustable. Someone had made a decision. I was brought into a chamber that didn't look like a prison at all. Wide ceiling, clean floor, no bars, no restraints built into the walls. Just a long table of dark alloy, a few chairs, and a transparent wall that looked out into empty space. Stars drifted slowly past, uncaring. The guards stopped me at the center of the room. Stay, one of them said. I looked down at the floor, then back up at him. Wasn't planning on redecorating. He didn't react, just stepped back with the others and left. The door sealed. Quiet again. I stood there alone for maybe a minute, maybe 10. Time felt strange without windows that mattered. Then the room changed, not visually, not dramatically, just pressure. The kind you feel before a storm breaks, when the air decides something is about to happen. Kaylira entered without ceremony. No escort this time. No audience. She wore the same attire as before, but without the crown. That alone told me more than anything else she could have said. This wasn't theater anymore. She stopped a few steps inside the room and looked at me. You should be begging, she said. I shrugged as much as the cuffs allowed. I tried it once. Didn't improve the outcome. Her eyes narrowed. You do not understand your position. I do, I said. I'm alive because you're curious. That's not a position. It's a timer. She walked around me slowly. Not predatory, clinical, like someone examining a faulty component. Most humans, she said, collapse when stripped of leverage. I never had any, I replied. Hard to miss what you didn't bring with you. She stopped in front of me. Up close, she didn't feel monstrous, or divine, or overwhelming. She felt certain. That was worse. You mocked my court, she said. You spoke as though fear does not function on you. It does, I said. I just don't worship it. Silence again. She reached out and lifted my chin with 2 fingers. Not rough, not gentle, exact. Look at me. I did. Her eyes were not angry. They were searching, measuring something she hadn't expected to exist. Do you know what happens to men who speak to me this way? She asked. I can guess, I said. But guessing doesn't change anything. She held my gaze. The gravity cuffs tightened slightly, reacting to a rise in my pulse. You are unarmed, she said. Unimportant. Your species has no leverage here. Then this is a waste of your time, I said. And you don't seem like someone who wastes things. That was the wrong thing to say. And somehow, exactly the right one. Her fingers dropped from my chin. She stepped back half a pace. You think yourself clever? No, I said. I think I'm already dead. That makes honesty cheaper. She studied me in silence. Then she gestured once. The cuffs released. Not fully. Enough. I flexed my hands slowly. Carefully. That's generous. That is a test, she corrected. Of what? Of whether you mistake freedom for permission. I rolled my shoulders, feeling circulation return. I've been mistaken about worse. She moved closer again. Too close now. The space between us felt deliberate. You are not special, she said quietly. Do not mistake my interest for favor. I won't, I said. Interest is more dangerous. Something flickered across her face then. Not anger, not satisfaction. Disruption. You continue to speak, she said, as though consequences do not apply to you. They do, I said. Just not selectively. Her gaze sharpened. You are aware, she said, that I could end you now. Here, without record. I nodded. That's why you haven't. Silence stretched. The stars drifted past the window behind her, slow and indifferent. You should be pleading, she said again, but quieter this time. I don't know how, I replied. No one ever listened when I did. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she turned away, walking toward the window. When I was named Empress, she said, 3 houses rebelled before the ceremony ended. Unfortunate timing, I said. They were erased within a cycle, she continued. Not because they threatened me, because they assumed I required demonstration. She turned back. You assume the opposite. I assume power that needs to be seen is already leaking, I said. Yours doesn't. The room felt heavier, not with force, with attention. Kalira approached me again, stopping just short of arm's reach. You were the wrong man to have brought here, she said. Then send me back, I replied. I was headed nowhere in particular. Her lips curved slightly, not a smile, something closer to irritation wrapped in interest. No, she said. You will remain. For how long? She considered the question. That, she said, depends on whether you continue to be inconvenient. I nodded once. I've made a career of it. She turned toward the door. As it opened, she paused. Captain Ethan Brooks, she said, without looking back. I froze. I did not tell you my name, I said. No, she replied, but you carry it loudly. The door closed behind her. I was alone again, and for the first time since I'd entered that court, I understood something clearly. I hadn't survived because I was insignificant. I'd survived because I was wrong. Wrong reaction, wrong posture, wrong kind of man for the role she expected. And that made me dangerous in a way neither of us had planned. They left me alone long enough for my muscles to forget what freedom felt like. No restraints this time, no cuffs, just a room that didn't invite sitting in a window that showed stars without offering direction. I paced, counted steps, counted breaths, tried not to think about how easily the door could open and end everything. When it did open, there was no warning. Kalira stepped in like she'd never left. Different attire, same certainty. No crown again. That mattered. It meant whatever this was. It wasn't for anyone else. You're standing, she observed. I get restless, I said. Kneeling didn't grow on me. She gestured once. The door sealed behind her. Sit. I looked at the chair, looked back at her. Is that an order or a suggestion? Her eyes flicked up, just a fraction. Test it. I sat. She didn't. She remained standing, close enough that I could feel the change in air pressure when she shifted her weight. Close enough that this wasn't about comfort. It was about angles. You spoke of predictability, she said. Explain. I leaned back, careful not to look relaxed. Power teaches habits. Yours doesn't need applause. It doesn't flinch. That means it reacts slowly. Slowly, she repeated. Deliberately, I corrected. Same thing, different consequences. She circled the table once, fingers brushing its surface. You believe that makes you safe? No, I said. I believe it makes you curious. Safe is a fantasy people invent when they don't understand their odds. She stopped behind me. The pressure returned. Not gravity this time, something else. Subtle, focused. The air itself felt tuned to her attention. My heartbeat betrayed me before I could stop it. You are aware, she said quietly, that I can make your organs fail without touching you. I'm counting on it, I replied. That made her step closer. Explain. If you wanted me dead, I said, I'd already be a story someone else tells badly. You're still here. She leaned down slightly, her voice near my ear. You mistake restraint for restraint. That's fair, I said. I do it all the time. The pressure increased. My vision narrowed at the edges. Not pain, constraint, like my body was being politely informed it had limits. You persist, she said, in defiance. No, I said through clenched teeth. Inconsistency. She moved in front of me again, studying my face as if checking for cracks. Most men break when pressure is applied, she said. They plead. They bargain. They invent gods. I tried inventing a god once, I said. Turns out maintenance is a nightmare. For a moment, just a moment, I thought she might laugh. Instead, the pressure vanished. I sucked in air, steadying myself. That was the test, she said. Did I pass? You endured, she replied. Passing implies approval. I nodded. Didn't think I'd get that. She sat now, across from me. Equal height, deliberate. You do not posture, she said. You do not perform. You resist without spectacle. I don't have the energy for spectacle, I said. It attracts management. Her gaze sharpened again, but this time there was something layered beneath it. Your species, she said, is known for desperation masquerading as courage. Fair assessment, I said. We don't get many alternatives. She leaned forward slightly. Then why are you not desperate? I met her eyes. I am. I just don't expect you to fix it. That landed harder than I expected. The room went quiet in a different way. Not tense, focused. You are not useful, she said slowly. You hold no rank, no authority, no value to bargain with. I know, I said. That's why I'm honest. Nothing to protect. She considered that. In my court, she said, truth is a weapon. It is rationed. Where I come from, I said, it's what people say when lying stops working. She leaned back, studying me as if recalculating. You challenge me, she said, without challenging my rule. I don't care about your rule, I replied. I care about not being crushed by it accidentally. Her lips pressed together. That, she said, is either wisdom or arrogance. Usually depends on who survives, I said. She stood again. This ends now, she said. I nodded. It usually does. She moved closer, stopping just short of where she'd stood before. Close enough that the air felt charged again, but she didn't trigger it. You will remain under observation, she said. You will not be harmed. For how long? She paused. Until you disappoint me. I exhaled. No pressure. She turned toward the door, then stopped. You did not break, she said, without looking back. I told you, I replied. I'm bad at following scripts. She glanced over her shoulder, eyes unreadable. That, she said, is why this was only the first test. The door opened. She left, and I stayed sitting there, staring at the stars, understanding something new and deeply uncomfortable. She hadn't tested my strength. She tested whether I knew when not to use it. The first alarm sounded like it was embarrassed to exist. Low, almost polite, a vibration through the walls instead of a scream. I noticed it because the stars outside the window flickered just once, like someone had blinked over them. Then the floor lurched, not enough to throw me out of the chair, enough to tell me this wasn't scheduled. I stood as the lights dimmed a fraction, emergency strips igniting along the edges of the room. The pressure in the air changed again, but this time it wasn't Kalira. This was structural, mechanical, bad. A second tremor hit harder. Somewhere far above, something broke. I felt it more than I heard it. A deep, resonant failure that traveled through the station's spine. Then the door slid open. Kalira stepped in mid-stride, already moving, already focused. No guards, no pause, no composure for show. Stay close, she said. Wasn't planning a jog, I replied. She didn't react. That worried me more than anger ever had. Another alarm joined the first. Louder now, less polite. What's happening? I asked as the room tilted again. A correction, she said. Poorly timed. The floor pitched sharply to the left. I caught the table, boots skidding. Kaylera didn't adjust at all. She remained upright as if the station was trying and failing to move around her. The fortress is under internal assault, she continued, triggered by my presence. That's flattering, I said. You bring friends everywhere? She glanced at me. Enemies? The lights went out completely. For half a second, there was nothing. Then emergency power surged back in, red this time, painting the corridor beyond the room in warning hues. The stars outside were gone, replaced by spinning darkness. Gravity stabilizers are failing, Kaylera said. If the core fractures, I get the idea, I said. Big noise. No more talking. Another impact. This one threw me into the wall. The station screamed now, no longer subtle, metal protesting as something massive tore loose somewhere deep inside. Kaylera grabbed my arm, not forcefully, precisely. Move, she said. We ran. The corridor was no longer straight. Panels had buckled inward, ceilings sagging like tired shoulders. Smoke rolled through the air, sharp and metallic. I tasted ozone. A body floated past us. I didn't ask whose. A bulkhead slammed shut behind us just as a fireball roared through the section we'd left. The heat slapped my back hard enough to knock the breath out of me. I bent over, coughing. Kaylera didn't. She stood, listening, counting, calculating. This way, she said, already turning. You sure? I asked. No, she replied, but the other way is worse. We moved through maintenance shafts now, narrow and unadorned, stripped of Imperial elegance. Just conduits, pipes, exposed systems, the kind of place no ruler was supposed to see. Another tremor, stronger. The shaft twisted slightly, metal shrieking. This your coup? I asked between breaths. Yes, she said. I almost laughed. You say that like it's weather? It is, she replied. Power draws pressure. Pressure breaks where it can. A section ahead collapsed inward, sealing the path in a shower of sparks and debris. We skidded to a halt. Kaylera swore. That got my attention. She stepped forward, placed a hand against the wreckage. The metal groaned, warped slightly, but didn't move. This is not efficient, she said. I looked around quickly. Overhead, she followed my gaze. A service crawl space ran above us, narrow and unreinforced. For humans, she said. For whoever fits, I replied. You want to argue physics or survive it? Another explosion rocked the shaft. The lights flickered. She looked at the crawl space, then at me. Go, she said. What? You fit, she said. You navigate. You open the release on the other side. And you? I asked. I will follow, she said. That's a lie, I said. You won't fit. Her jaw tightened. You are not qualified to assess my limitations. I'm qualified to notice doors, I said. And you're not making it through that one. Another blast. The shaft twisted again for the first time since I'd met her. Kaylera hesitated. Not long, just long enough to matter. Fine, she said. You go first. I climbed. The crawl space was tight. Metal edges bit into my shoulders. The heat up here was worse, trapped and angry. I crawled fast, ignoring the protest in my arms, the burn in my lungs. I reached the junction panel on the far side and slammed my hand against the manual release. Nothing, of course, I muttered. I ripped the cover off and stared at a mess of cables and burnt circuits. Status? Kaylera called from below. Working on my resignation, I said. You got any override codes? Yes, she replied. They are irrelevant. Figures. Another explosion. Closer this time. The shaft buckled. My grip slipped. Ethan, she said sharply. I froze. She'd never used my name like that before. I rerouted power manually, bridging two cables with my multi-tool. Sparks bit into my fingers. I ignored it. The panel whined, then released with a heavy thunk. The hatch slid open. Move, I shouted. Kaylera didn't hesitate. She launched upward, impossibly fast, using the collapsing wall as leverage. Metal screamed. The shaft gave way behind her just as she cleared the opening. We rolled into the adjoining chamber together as the crawl space collapsed entirely, sealing itself with a final, violent crash. For a moment, we just lay there, breathing. The chamber was smaller, reinforced, a control hub, maybe. Emergency lights flickered weakly. Another distant detonation shook the walls. You could have left, Kaylera said. Yeah, I replied, but then I'd still be lost. She sat up slowly, studying me. Her expression was different now. Not curious, not evaluating, focused. You did not run, she said. There wasn't a clear exit, I replied. I hate indecision. You chose to stay, she said. I chose the problem I could see, I said. Running from you felt complicated. The station shuddered again. This one longer. Sustained. Structural collapse will reach this section within minutes, she said. Then we should stop standing around, I said. You got a plan? Yes, she said. Great. You will not like it. Even better. She moved to the control console, ripping open panels with bare hands. Sparks flew. She ignored them. I must access the core manually, she said. Stabilize the cascade. That sounds fatal, I said. For most, she replied. And for you? She didn't answer. I stepped closer. You need help. She looked at me sharply. You are not equipped for it. I'm equipped for bad ideas. I cut in. And you're running out of better ones. Another impact. The floor cracked near the far wall. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. Then you will follow my instructions, she said. Exactly, I smirked. Now who's testing who? She turned back to the console. Do not mistake proximity for equality. I won't, I said. Just don't mistake control for survival. She paused, just long enough to acknowledge it. The station screamed again. And this time, we screamed back. By moving toward the heart of the collapse together, not as ruler and captive, but as two bodies trying very hard not to die. The core wasn't supposed to be accessed like this. Kayla didn't say it, but the way she moved told me enough. Every corridor closer to the center was narrower, more reinforced, less ceremonial. No banners, no insignia, just systems layered on systems, built with the quiet assumption that no one alive would ever need to see them fail. They were failing anyway. Heat bled through the walls now, a low constant pressure that made the air taste burnt. Emergency lights flickered in uneven rhythms. Somewhere behind us, something collapsed with a sound like the station giving up on itself. Kayla walked ahead of me, faster than before. Keep up, she said. I'm doing my best, I replied. This place wasn't designed for jogging. She didn't slow. We reached the core access chamber as another shockwave rippled through the structure. The door was half melted, warped inward like it had tried to close and changed its mind too late. Inside, the core pulsed. Not visually dramatic, just a deep, rhythmic thrum you felt in your bones. Containment fields shimmered unevenly, stuttering like a bad heartbeat. Consoles sparked and died in sequence, one after another, like dominoes. Kayla stopped. This is the last stable junction, she said. If the cascade reaches the primary ring, the whole place turns into shrapnel. I finished. Yeah, I'm familiar with the genre. She turned to me sharply. You will remain here. I laughed once, short, unamused. No, this is not negotiable. I've noticed negotiations don't last long around you, I said. But you don't get to order me out of this one. Her eyes flashed. You will die. Probably, I said, but not by standing behind a door while you do everything alone. She stepped closer. The heat bent around her, containment fields adjusting instinctively. You are human, she said. Your body will fail before mine. Then use me before that happens, I replied. That's what you do best, right? She stared at me, expression hard. I do not sacrifice pieces without purpose. Good, I said, because I'm volunteering. The station lurched violently, throwing both of us off balance. A console exploded, showering sparks across the floor. That made the decision for her. Fine, she said. You stay? I nodded. Great. What do you need? She turned back to the core. The manual stabilizers must be resequenced. The system is rejecting Imperial override. Let me guess, I said. Designed so no single authority can shut it down. Yes, she replied. By my predecessors. Smart, I said. Annoying, but smart. I moved to the nearest functional console, ripped off the damaged interface, and stared at raw wiring and half-dead readouts. I'll need a direct feed, I said, and something to ground the surge when it spikes. She looked at me. You will not survive a direct surge. I don't need to, I said. Just need to redirect it long enough for you to lock the ring. Another tremor, stronger. The core's rhythm stuttered. Kayla hesitated. It was subtle. Anyone else would have missed it. I didn't. This is the part where you decide, I said. Empress, weapon, whatever you call yourself. You either let me help, or you watch everything burn perfectly under your control. Her jaw tightened. You do not fear death, she said. I do, I replied. I just don't respect it enough to obey it. That earned me a sharp look. Then she placed her hand against the core interface. The containment fields bent outward, reacting to her presence like trained animals. Begin, she said. I worked fast, pulled cables, bridged circuits, rerouted power through paths that weren't supposed to exist anymore. The surge hit my arms like fire, crawling up through muscle and bone. I gritted my teeth and kept going. Sequence realigning, I shouted. You've got maybe 30 seconds before this thing decides to explode anyway. She didn't answer. She was focused now, both hands engaged, her entire posture locked into something closer to labor than command. Another surge. Harder. My vision blurred. I tasted blood. Ethan, she snapped. Release the feed. Not yet, I said. It's stabilizing. Just needs. The surge spiked violently. I screamed this time. No dignity. Just pain. Kaylee returned. For the first time since I'd met her. She looked alarmed. Enough, she said. Disengage. If I disengage, I gasped. You lose the window. She stared at me. Then she did something I didn't expect. She moved. Not toward the core. Toward me. She grabbed my arm, redirecting the surge through herself. The containment field screamed in protest. You were inefficient, she said through clenched teeth. Yeah, I wheezed. So are you. Together, we held it. Me shaking, barely conscious. Her standing rigid, power flaring around her in uncontrolled waves. The core's rhythm steadied. The lights stopped flickering. Silence fell. Not the practiced kind from the court, but the stunned kind that follows survival. Kaylee released the interface slowly. I collapsed to my knees, gasping. The station didn't explode. She looked down at me. You chose to remain, she said. I told you, I said weakly. I hate indecision. You could have escaped earlier, she said. There were roots. You saw them. Yeah, I said. I also saw you. She frowned. Explain. If you died in there, I said, gesturing vaguely at the core, everything else you've built dies with you. Including everyone who thinks they're safe because you exist. That is not your responsibility. No, I said. But it became my problem. She stared at me for a long moment. You inverted the equation, she said slowly. I do that, I replied. Humans are good at making bad situations flexible. The station groaned softly, settling into a wounded but stable rhythm. Kaylee straightened. You defied my command, she said. Yes. You endangered yourself. Yes. You altered the outcome of a coup without authority. Yes. She paused. Why? I wiped blood from my mouth with the back of my hand. Because you're not wrong about humans being weak. Her eyes narrowed. But we're good at adapting, I continued. And you're surrounded by people who freeze when the rules stop working. Silence. You did not treat me as superior, she said. I treated you like someone who needed help, I replied. Those aren't the same thing. That landed. She turned away, looking at the stabilized core. The narrative will change, she said quietly. Because of this? Yeah, I said. That tends to happen when things don't go according to plan. She faced me again. For the first time, she said, you were not beneath me in this room. I raised an eyebrow. Careful. Sounds like respect. Do not misinterpret it, she said. This does not make you equal. I know, I said. Just makes me useful. She studied me one last time. Then she extended her hand. Not to command, to pull me up. I took it, and in that moment, with the station still shaking around us, something fundamental shifted. Not power, perspective. She had ruled by being unmovable. I had survived by refusing to stay where I was placed. And now neither of us could pretend that hadn't mattered. The station survived. That fact alone rewrote half the Empire's doctrine before anyone even spoke about it. They never announced the coup as a failure. They called it containment, a word polished enough to hide bodies. The trader houses vanished quietly. Fleets changed allegiance overnight. Speeches were made about unity, stability, continuity. I wasn't invited to any of it. Kaylee made sure of that. I stayed in a transit wing near the outer hull, patched up by medtechs who didn't ask questions and avoided my eyes like proximity might infect them. Through the window, I watched Imperial ships come and go, forming patterns that looked less like defense and more like preparation. She came to me when the noise finally settled. No guards, no crown, just her. The court believes you were a contingency asset, she said. Expendable, convenient. Good, I replied. I hate expectations. She didn't smile. The narrative requires distance, she continued. From you, from what occurred. And what actually occurred? I asked. She was quiet for a long moment. Something irreversible. That's when she told me. Not dramatically. No ritual, just data, biology, probability curves that had collapsed into certainty. Her physiology, designed to adapt to stress, to absorb variance, had done what it always did. It adapted. You will be blamed, she said. Privately, officially, the event will not exist. Figures, I muttered. I finally contribute, and it's classified. This changes everything, she said. Not because of you, because of what follows. A child, I said. She nodded once. An impossibility, she added, now unavoidable. Outside the window, a dreadnought detached from the station, engines flaring. You can't keep me here, I said. No, she agreed, and I cannot keep you close. War, I guessed. Ideology, she corrected. War is a symptom. She handed me a small data shard. No explanation, no instructions. When the silence becomes dangerous, she said, you will leave. And you? I asked. She turned away, looking out at her empire reorganizing itself in real time. I will stand where I must, she said, and let history decide whether I am ruler or rupture. The door behind me opened. I paused at the threshold. They'll never forgive this. I am not asking for forgiveness, she replied. Only survival. I left. No ceremony, no farewell, just distance growing behind me, measured in light and silence. And somewhere deep in the machinery of an empire that had never planned for weakness, something new was already moving, unannounced, unwanted, and impossible to erase. If you want to see more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and like this video. You have nothing to lose and you can change it at any time. Thanks for watching.